welcome to Practical Diplomacy. This is an important one because along a diplomatic career you will definitely have situations when two moral values clash and you must act, behave, make decisions facing this dilemma. Mostly such dilemmas emerge from the opposition between the goals of the mission you believe in and the character of the institution you represent. Now, if you believe in the core values of diplomacy, if you are committed to peace, consensus seeking and cooperation, then whatever position you sit in, whatever flag you represent, your work is valuable. But it does happen, from time to time at least, that your government or headquarters have views that you don't agree with, and they are expecting you to represent those views. If you are or will be a diplomat, believe me, sooner or later, this situation is coming for you. This, of course, has different levels, different difficulties. Let's say your headquarters in general represents the same values as you do, but there's one international issue in which they want you to express an approach which differs from yours. Well, it's not ideal, but you'll be fine, right? No one can be expected to have the exact same opinions on everything as you, right? But it can be more serious. Let's say your government has very different views from you on the level of principles, democracy, human rights. You see, this is not so easy then, because even if your partners know that you as a person are committed to these values, and they also know that you as a diplomat represent not only your government, but your whole country, still, in official matters, you will act as the representative of your Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and there's no going around it. So whichever scenario applies to your dilemma, what can you do? So you can look in the mirror in the evening before going to sleep and say, I can stand by whatever I said or did today, and my conscience is clean. Well, having experienced quite a number of such situations, my opinion is not too complicated. Just be honest about what's going on. There are civilized ways of being clear about your disagreement, while you can still do your job that your bosses expect you to. Just think how differently it sounds if you say, we completely object this proposal. Or if you say, dear friends, my ministry has asked me to convey their objection to this proposal. You see, not only will your partners know that you stand true to your principles, but also they will learn from this that you may serve as a possible bridge between the opposing standpoints to find the ideal solution. And just like that, you are what a diplomat should be, a consensus builder. Now, of course, most of your partners will have a background knowledge about you as a person, or at least you will have the chance to talk with them in the coffee break or in the casual parts of diplomatic events. And at such occasions, you can make them understand that you don't share your government's or institutions' given views, and you can think together how a compromise could be reached. So there was a time when during a foreign service, I was instructed to object and halt common positions of an international group concerning questions on the democracy of the host country. On the personal side, these common positions completely represented my values. So knowing that I will be the one objecting and jeopardizing them, it truly felt terrible. So when the time came, I conveyed the official position, but in the coffee break, I approached the chairman of the meeting. I explained that although I would personally love to see the original common position go through, I unfortunately know that my ministry will simply not approve it. Therefore, I propose to find a common denominator. I happen to know what the red lines are back home, so I can tell them how to put the exact wording so it would not be objected automatically. They obviously liked this idea. We worked on the text, and finally the new document was approved by everyone. Was it the best document possible? No. Some things had to be taken out, unfortunately. But was it a lot better than nothing? Of course it was. So when that night I looked in the mirror, I didn't have to be ashamed. Instead, I could say we achieved actual results in line with my diplomatic and human principles. There is another interesting point which is worth to be mentioned here. The cooperation with politicians. As a diplomat, you will need to cooperate with politicians a lot. Now, if you are a diplomat who shares the values of this channel, peace, cooperation, and consensus seeking, kind, open, and honest approach, and absolute respect to all people, then concerning the general characteristic of the political class, you may find it unpleasant to be in a close cooperation with them. Just imagine that you're serving abroad, managing a delegation from home, and the head of delegation is someone you clearly know is a corrupt person who has stolen the public money of the tax-paying people. Well, one needs to accept certain basic aspects of diplomatic life, and cooperation with politicians is one of these natural aspects. So first of all, what I always told myself in such cases is that no matter who the partner is, I must do my job at the highest standard I am able to. Second, I told myself that no matter who it is a human being who obviously must have good sides, and I acted like that. In our conversations, I tried exploring them the same way as I would other people, and certainly each and every time I could hear some circumstance or personal story that made it easier, more human, to spend time in that cooperation. Now bear in mind, the simple fact that everyone has a kinder side doesn't cancel out morally if they have sold out values of democracy and good governance and became autocratic or corrupt. What it does, though, it makes it easier to spend your time and cooperate with them. And also, as you would want to learn from anyone and everyone, learn from them too. Learn through their experience, their anecdotes, their areas of expertise, anything. If there really is nothing positive, then learn how not to be, how not to do things. I have met on one occasion Viktor Yanukovych, then president of Ukraine, who was an obvious autocrat with no regard to human rights or democratic standards. It was actually like 2 months before the so-called Maidan revolution of 2014 made him escape from the people and flee the country. Obviously, he didn't care about me, he was there to meet other presidents. But he shook hands with the involved diplomats and gave us a pen with his official insignia. And then in a few weeks' time, I could watch on the news that the uprising Ukrainian people found all that crazy amount of gold in his home, gold that he obviously didn't earn with his hard work. So I told myself, well, this is obviously the exact opposite of how one should behave in public office. And I will keep this pen to remind me how power can corrupt people with weak principles. Now, obviously, my opinion here is worth as much as yours or anyone else's. But as far as I'm concerned, if you stay true to your principles and approach your diplomatic duties through the filter of those, you'll be fine. Thanks for watching, keep promoting peace, and see you in the next chapter.